That's the joy of this lesson, because this lesson, and we're going to read some of it now, is going to tell you that all the human beings are walking around in a literal sense with the kingdom of God within them. And they're manifesting themselves in the chaos of form that disappears in the dust. What did Jesus say in the New Testament? Tear that temple down and I'll rebuild it in 3 days. And from that moment on, they were really after him, weren't they? They were very determined, as you may still be, that I would not be allowed to demonstrate to you my certainty that you're not brick and mortar. My certainty that all of the things that you are formulating within your own mind are just existences of definitions of a long time ago and a long time to come in the ruins of what no longer exists. Now, what you've had to learn from me is you can build out there from all of the ruins you want, and they will result in ruins until you recognize that the kingdom is within you. This is what lesson 166 is going to say. Let's look at it together. All things are given you. God's trust in you is limitless. He knows his Son. He gives without exception, holding nothing back that can contribute to your happiness. And yet, unless your will is one with his gifts are not received. But what would make you think there is another will than his? Here is the paradox that underlies the making of the world. This world is not the will of God, and so it is not real. Yet those who think it real must still believe there is another will, and one that leads to opposite effects from those that he wills. Impossible indeed. But every mind that looks upon the world and judges it as certain, as solid, as trustworthy and true, believes in two creators, or in one, himself alone, but never what? Never in one God. The gifts of God are not acceptable to anyone who holds such strange beliefs. He must believe that to accept God's gifts, however evident they may become, however urgently he may be called to claim them as his own, is to be pressed to treachery against himself. He must deny their presence, contradict the truth, and suffer to preserve the world that he made. Are you listening to this, humans? Here is the only world he thinks he knows. Here is the only safety he believes that he can find. Without the world he made, is he an outcast, homeless and afraid. He does not realize that it is here he is afraid indeed, and homeless too, an outcast wandering so far from home, so long away, he does not realize he has forgotten where he came from, where he goes, and even who he really is. Yet in his lonely, senseless wanderings, God's gifts go with him, all unknown to him. He cannot lose them, but he will not look at what is given him. He wanders on, aware of the futility he sees about him everywhere, perceiving how his little lot but dwindles as he goes ahead to nowhere. Still he wanders on in misery and poverty, alone though God is with him, and a treasure his so great that everything the world contains is valueless before its magnitude. What a particular idea. Boy, it's great to read that. Are you aware perceptual identities out there, what this is offering you? This is the statement about you. And how you feel about the rhetoric, I'm not concerned. What it's actually a statement is a proviso for an entrance into your drama of loneliness and death of a true you. You want to share that together with me? This is why sometimes we revert to parables. There's no question that you believe you are a conceptual self-existence wandering about this world looking for an occupation that will justify your need to retain your own sorry-looking self. And The reason that you the reason that you reject this message is simply because you may not like the definition of yourself that I'm giving you. I understand that in your lonely wandering, you keep finding relief, don't you? You find moments of happiness with the bodies that are around you, and you share with them the certainty of your own existence, of what you must define as happiness, since in your forlorn idea of the dream of death, you find happiness in pain. You find happiness in loneliness, and you believe that this is what your life is. Okay? You have forgotten that you have been misidentified in a moment, okay, of space-time that denied the entirety of reality, and you're wandering aimlessly about in your determination to hold on to that identity. Do you see how you're identifying yourself there, Mr. Body, Mrs. Anybody? Do you see how you hold on to yourself in your determination to be the containment of that body and find other bodies that share your forlorn admission that you're in this little senseless pain of dark form? Let's share together just a moment this alternative. Let's practice, if we can, just a moment of that realization right there, that you're actually whole and perfect. Good. Could you see that? I got you to stop just for a moment and to step back. See, your mind has been so preoccupied with definitions of yourself, with needs to justify that existence, that the idea that you could begin to practice non-defensiveness, the idea that you could begin to experience alternatives that were not contained within the contingencies of your self-identity, is what is occurring. Can you see that?